Morning. Morning, Rona. How are you? Hi, Catherine. Welcome. How are you both? Morning, Shirley. Or evening, your side. Hi, Christine. How are you? And welcome. So he's ready for a little stillness meditation. Yeah, going as well as can be. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hi, Christine. How are you? Welcome again. So I hear all the restrictions are going, or people are going to be heading back to school over in Jersey. Hello, Nick. How are you, mate? Which is wonderful news, if I do say so, for everyone. I guess it's nice to get everyone back out and back into the public domain again. I mean, it's. I think the kids love it. You know, my son in particular, he was so excited to be going back to school again. It's been wonderful having them home, and I tell you, it was actually heartbreaking sending them back to school again, because you just sort of learn to live, and obviously you love them to bits, so having them around is never really a problem. And it almost felt like when I was dropping my kids off to school for the first time again, you know, I was like, yeah, it was tough. And I think also you have that sort of feeling like as if it felt like almost like the kids were the cannon fodder, you know, and you're sort of watching these, like, because we had reception and year 6 were the sort of the first ones to go back to sort of test the waters to see if they spread this virus. And you know, your sort of heart goes out to these little things that are going out there with absolutely no idea really what's going on. And wonderfully, we haven't had any real big problems over here in Australia, and I'm sure it'll be perfectly the same over in Jersey. So, enough about that waffle. Stillness meditation. So wherever you are, just getting yourself comfortable. If you're in bed, pulling the duvet up a little bit higher. Now, it's important to remember that stillness is not some sort of destination that we need to get to. Remember? So it's not like you're trying to create a still space, or you're not trying to get to a space that's still within you. And there's no sort of still door that just opens and goes, oh. Although sometimes it can feel like that. Hiya, Patricia. Yeah, we are a little bit ahead of you on the lockdown thing, Christine. Absolutely. So remembering still space is not this sort of place that or this destination. You know, if we set our intention of becoming still, now intention's an incredibly powerful point, but it often can create a search. You know, a nice intention is to sort of cultivate or practice stillness so that everyone else benefits. You know, not to try and find a still space within you. You know, so how we set our intentions are incredibly important. It's not always about trying to find something or getting to a place where we are now still. Now, stillness is there, but it's not like it is just here in your body. And so if you haven't already, just allowing your eyes to close. And we're just going to take the first 60 seconds of just open awareness. So open awareness, just being, recognizing everything. So you're just going to let the sounds, the feelings, the movement, the thoughts, just sort of rest openly with no particular focus. So, our first real steps is just to allow everything to be. So it's really important, what we're trying to do is rest. This first step is just this idea of, maybe people like the word surrendering, or people like the word letting go, or people like the word resting, or people like the term open awareness. All these things describing that same, or emptiness. This idea of complete allowance. You're just allowing yourself to do nothing. You're not trying to rest. There's no requirement to compare just how rested you are. In resting, we may recognize we've got an incredibly busy mind at the moment. It doesn't mean that you're not resting. It just means that you're recognizing the busyness of life and how you've sort of had maybe a stressful day, and that's okay. These are wonderful mindfulness. Well, this is wonderful mindfulness, recognizing from that state of rest that maybe my body is a little stressed at the moment. My heart is beating a little faster. The mind is whirring a little faster as well, replaying most of today's events. And as we rest, these things become more prominent. And often sometimes when we turn to meditation, we turn to this sort of practice, and that's okay. This is an integral part of it, is to become still. I don't like saying become still, but recognize that you are already still. In the previous meditations, I've talked about the idea of sort of you being that space at the bottom of a lake. And when I sometimes do a still practice, I like to almost imagine myself that I can breathe in water, obviously, but I'm just sat at the depth of the bottom of the lake, very still and calm. And there could be hurricanes blowing. And there I am, sat, comfortable, still. And behind and beyond the field of all that stress, all the tension, all the movement of life is a very natural, very innate silence, a very innate stillness. And from that depth, I suppose that's the one time I might use depth, is that all the wind above, all the rain, the thunderstorms, the stress, the tension can just happen. And that silence is already inherent there. A very natural place for you. You are like the undisturbable, I suppose. And we begin to sort of turn towards that space or open up towards that space by just taking some time for ourselves to rest. All that effort is out in front of us. All the thoughts and the tension can be watched or watchable as we rest openly. And don't worry if you don't quite get it. Don't worry if the mind is questioning. Maybe you can even notice the mind question. And that's the place that we're exploring. Not the question, not the questioner, but the stillness that notices it. When we do practice like this, our natural tendency is to sort of turn inwards. Our natural thought, our natural action is to begin to sort of watch the movement of our breath. We get a sense of the sensations, maybe the warmth, the sitting, the pressure, the movement, the sound, my voice. And so from this place of resting, what we're going to do is just gently become aware or more aware of some of the movements that are happening. And we're going to start with the movement of our breath. I don't want you to really change anything in particular, but just watching how this thing moves, the sort of flow into our body and flow out. Nothing's changed. Very calm, collected, relaxed, hopefully. But there's this gentle flow, this gentle movement, and you're just watching. Maybe the stomach's moving, maybe passing down through the nose and the throat and mouth. And we're just watching the movement of our breath. The breath is just naturally happening, and you're watching the body move in this way. It knows exactly what to do. And this breath just allows us to sort of ground a little bit more into our practice. As the mind, we notice its busyness, we just let the busyness be and just guide our attention again back into the breath. It's not like we're particularly concentrating or particularly focusing on the breath. We're watching the movement. We're rested and alert. And just remembering it, if you have a busy mind, you're just allowing that to be there too. Trying to stop it, get rid of it. Watching, attentive, aware. And that idea of emptiness, and allowing the thoughts to rise and fall from that still same unchanging space. In fact, if we open up from just watching our breath to allowing our thoughts to be there as well, like the breath is the movement of the lungs and the body to allow the body to breathe. The mind, the thoughts are the movement of the mind. It allows us to think things through. Incredibly important function of the body is thoughts. but we begin to identify with our thoughts. We don't see them as the transient phenomenon that they are. We don't tend to identify with any other part of our body. In fact, a lot of the time we're non-identifying with it, with most parts, for a lot of people. But when we begin to sort of rest and just let the mind be in the same way we let the breath be, we don't judge, we don't criticize, the breath can be incredibly calming. By opening up and just allowing all that space of thought. It doesn't matter how much we're thinking or what in particular the thoughts are in this moment. We just allow the thoughts to be the movement of the mind. Sometimes when we do these types of practices, it feels like we sort of turn our eyes inward. Almost like we expect the thoughts to be rushing around in the top half of our head. When in reality they have no color, they have no weight, they're nothing tangible. They come and they go in the same way that breath does. A lot of them we don't even remember. So just for the next minute or so, just seeing if we can rest openly and allow the mind to be in the same way that we can let our breath be. The same openness, same sense of calm and even interest. Being interested in not so much the thoughts, but that space which is recognizing the coming and going of thought. And we can recognize from that still space that even sometimes when we get caught up in the thought and then we return back to that still space, it feels like we're returning. But in honesty, we never left. It feels like we get caught up and tangled in thoughts. But this is just another trick of the mind. No tangles, no wire, no tentacles. All imaginary, all phenomena. Like a cloud passing in the sky. Doesn't matter how good or bad you are at this. The measurement, the stick, the comparison is just movement again. And you're not getting caught up in the movement. You're just resting and watching the comparison, the judgment. Even the recognition, oh yes, this is it. And the final part, if we can, from here in this still rested space, is to Allow the sound to be there as well. So my voice, maybe the goings on around in your home. You're quite rested, alert, and attentive. Where my voice almost becomes like an echo in the emptiness, the openness of where you are. Again, for me, I like to visualize sat at the bottom of this lake, obviously able to breathe underwater. And like my teacher, I can just hear his gentle voice in the background, not paying particular attention to it, but it's there. It guides, and yet I'm open, relaxed and alert, completely calm and still. Breath is there, sound is there, and thoughts are there, all resting, you're resting, and these things just rise and fall from that very open, very spacious. The place that we feel comes and goes, but it never leaves you. It is from this stillness that allows you to embrace everything that's going on in the chaos of life at the moment. It helps you to meet things with gratitude, compassion, openness. It allows you to have the right intention of focusing anger and frustration for how people are being treated, the difficulty in not being able to see our loved ones as well. It allows all that to be, doesn't get rid of it. It helps us in choosing right action. Right. So, I hope you enjoyed that. And for those that aren't aware, there's, we're doing a little 30 days of stillness, and you don't need to do anything other than 30 days, 30 minutes, and just doing it yourself. No group, no requirement, no nothing. This is just for you. I mean, if you want to put it on time lapse and throw it up on your stories, I'll share it on the Awareful page on our stories as well. 30 days, 30 minutes. It's a gift for you and for everyone, really, and especially in times like this. Just next 30 days, I think, is going to be incredibly important for all of us as a community. You're very welcome, Christine. Thank you so much for joining us, as always. Patricia, Nick, all of you, wonderful. And I'll keep doing this. I'll keep waking up on Tuesday. If you want to keep coming, I don't mind. Even after lockdown, continuing to support as best as I can do. Certainly at the moment, if you are happy with me doing it. Now I've been wanting to try sort of doing some of this stuff on YouTube too. So I'm going to ask, I think with stillness, sometimes there can be a sense of confusion or things like that. And don't worry about if you have, if you sort of found it a little confusing. Catherine, you're very welcome. Again, thank you so much for your time. Rona, amazing. Thank you. Thank you for all your time. Oh, that's okay. I mean, you already do so much, Rona. You're amazing. If anyone wants the best sausage and egg rolls, coffees, hot chocolates, head down to Rona's in Gorey. Lovely lady there as well. I'm sure you all know Rona. She's amazing. In fact, you're all amazing. Getting to know every single one of you has been an absolute blessing in my life, and I'm incredibly grateful for everything that you do and all the work and the liking and the sharing of the page and being on here for the meditation. I'm incredibly grateful. I truly am. I can't express in words just how thankful I am for all of you. It's much, much appreciated. And I'm here to help. If anything comes up, any worries, lots of people are emailing me, so should you. If there's anything I can do to help your own practice, anything I can do to help with any of the things that are going on in your life, please utilize me. I want to help as best as I can do, because it's a confusing place out there. And I think even with the Black Lives Matters movement, which is well beyond, it's crazy that it's taken so long, and unfortunate the demise of George. It's heartbreaking. If anyone watched the video, just to watch the life of someone leave like that, and the wonderful thing that has come from this, it's almost uniting the world in recognizing that we are truly one race, that color and culture and language and all these things are just imaginary barriers that prejudiced people have put up to secure their own wealth. And that's all it is. It's just a greed has segregated us, ignorance. And it has. I mean, I see things like all this about privilege and things like that, and it's very true. We don't realize just how ingrained in our society it is, but it can start today. Don't feel overwhelmed by it. It can be absolutely overwhelming, like as if we've let down people. You're very welcome, Nikki. Thank you for your wonderful comment. So keep practicing. Just start educating. If you've got children, start teaching peace every day. Educating from the heart. That's all we need to do. There's nothing else that needs to change. Obviously, if you're incredibly racist, you probably wouldn't be on here meditating on stillness. There's something that's already opened inside of you that recognizes there's something more to us than just this language, this skin. Now, much love to every one of you. And remember, I'm here to help in any way. And I'll keep coming every Tuesday morning for as long as you want me to. Okay? Thank you so much. It's much appreciated, all of you. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you again real soon.